Welcome to the Sunday service of CSLN. We are a welcoming and inclusive community of inspired individuals caring for and about each other and the entire planetary family. The Center for Spiritual Living Nashville offers spiritual tools for anyone seeking a deeper connection with God, Spirit, a higher power, or universal truths. Be sure to subscribe below if you enjoy our programs. Now please enjoy today's service.
Well, I came upon a child of God. He was walking along the road, and I asked him, "Where are you going?" This he told me. Said, "I'm going down to Yasgur's farm. Gonna join in a rock and roll band. Got to camp out on the land and set my soul free. We are stardust, golden. We've got to get ourselves back to the garden. Well, then can I walk beside you? I have come here to lose the smog, and I feel myself a cog in something turning. And maybe it's the time of year here, and maybe it's the time of man. And I don't know who I am, but life is for learning. We are stardust, golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. By the time we got to Woodstock, we were 500,000 strong, and everywhere was song and celebration. And I dreamed I saw the bomber planes stardust. Golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the
That's Susan Shan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Susan will be here doing all our songs today, singing lead, playing guitar.
In a manner of speaking.
All right, here we go, Spence.
You got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. And people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful as you feel. Waiting at the station with the workday wind blowing, I got nothing to do but watch the passers-by. Mirrored in their faces, I see frustration growing, and they don't see it showing. Why do I? You got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. Then people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful as you feel. I have often asked myself the reason for the sadness in a world where dreams are just a lullaby. If there's any answer, maybe love can end the madness, maybe not, but we can only try. You got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. Then people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful as you feel. Amen. And so it is.
So Susan calls me up halfway through the week. She says, I've been hearing this song. I've been feeling this song, Larry. I just don't know what it is. I just feel it. And my husband brought it to my attention, and I thought, he's a pretty good guy. I think we should do it. So this one's called Feels Like It's Letting Go. You know when you let go, what it feels like to let go? So hope you enjoy it.
It's a really pretty song.
We can get it right. We'll get it right.
Matthew Perryman
Too
Jones
many
is the
things.
artist. Oh, my love, help me open up my heart. Tear it open, let the rain fall in. Wash this hardness underneath my skin.
Did that right? Hold on a minute. It's my fault. It did. It sounded like it was angels. That's not right.
I thought we were doing I'm sailing away. That's what it sounded like.
Did it?
Sticks. Oh, the good old days.
No, that's better.
There we go. Bravo! Oh, my love, help me open up my heart again. Tear it open, let the rain fall in. Wash this hardness underneath my skin. Oh, my love, let me hear your voice come through. I want to know the love inside of you. Make this dark heart believe in what is true. I know that in the dark there's a fear of letting go. I know that in my heart I fear what I don't know. And it feels like I'm letting go. And it feels like I'm letting go. I'm letting go. It's hard to trust when your heart's been broken times before. You pull the curtains and you lock the doors. Swear you'll never go out anymore. I know that in the dark there's a fear of letting go. I know that in my heart I fear what I don't know. And it feels like I'm letting go. And it feels like I'm letting go. Well, I'm stepping out. I can't see, there is no sound. The seeming void becomes a solid ground. The sight I lost becomes a faith I found. And it feels like I'm letting go. And it feels like I'm letting go. 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 Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, CSLN and people out there in TV land. Remember when they used to call it TV land? That's how old I am. I'm Gregory Fisher. I'm a practitioner here at CSLN, and I'm your platform host for today. And it's lovely to see some faces here, some actual faces, not just empty pews. And we have a wonderful program for you today, very exciting. And if you've been here with us for the last 15 minutes or so, you've heard the exquisite sounds of Sue Shan. I say to myself as I'm listening to her sing, in my wildest dreams, I'm as amazingly talented as she is. I know. It's true. I know, it's my favorite. It's my favorite. How about more of Sue? All right, we'll be back. Sue Shan.
Thank you.
More Sue.
And you do look beautiful today. And it's a beautiful morning. That's the name of this song. Oh, let me get in the right key.
Nope, move it up.
Could be weird.
There's too many adjustments today.
I know. Tell me about it.
All right, you want to?
Everyone count it in? Who's counting in?
Here we go.
Everywhere I look, I see my good. I see love and opportunities abound. Well, once I was a victim, now I've learned to listen to the wisdom of this truth I have found. It tells me you are a spark from the flame of the divine. That's why I'm stepping up right now to claim what's that the sun is shining in my life. The stars are aligning in my life. A new day is dawning in my life. It's a beautiful morning in my life. Oh, oh, oh. So when times get tough, you wanna just give up, and you swear your fate is out of your hands. You got to go a little deeper and try and keep your heart open to a greater plan. You know that you got the power to make your dreams come true. Just start each day with a simple phrase of love and gratitude. You know that the sun is shining in my life. The stars are aligning in my life. A new day is dawning in my life. It's a beautiful morning in my life. Oh, oh. And oh, when we let go and let faith step in, that's when miracles begin. The sun is shining in my life. The stars are aligning in my life. A new day is dawning in my life. It's a beautiful morning 'cause the sun is shining in my life. The stars are aligning in my life. A new day is dawning in my life. It's a beautiful morning in my life. Oh, oh, oh. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. Good morning. I am Dottie Wifo, a practitioner here at the center, and I am delighted to be here today. And the music is fantastic. So my reading today is it's titled A Pattern for Thought, and it's associated with Philippians 4:8 through 13. We are to think on those things which are of good report. That is, we are to think on those things which are of the truth. If we do this, we can accomplish because of our own inner mind, which is Christ. This mind is the creator of the heavens and the earth, all they that dwell therein. And God will supply all our needs. This is a beautiful thought, that we are fed from the table of the universe, whose board ever spread with blessings.
Welcome to the Sunday,
whose loving kindness has never been fathomed, whose grace and truth are the cornerstones of reality. We are to be fed, clothed, and supplied in every need, straight from the center and source of all. More than this, we could not ask. Greater could not be given. Lowell tells us that heaven alone is given away, and all is ours for the asking. Shall not this asking then include all the righteousness and truth? And so it is. Let's take a deep breath, please. There is only one mind, one presence. It is the creator of all there is. I know I am one with this presence. I am blessed with his wisdom, light, and love. This is true for myself and every heart in this universe. Today, I pray the healing light of God is experienced by each individual, whether it be racism, sickness, loss of a loved one due to COVID, loss of job. Whatever your situation is, God is the source. I pray our heart and eyes are open to the divine wisdom of God and allow ourselves to be guided and to show up in our world in the best and highest way possible. We release and let go of doubt and all negativity, giving complete trust to the universe. I pray we all experience love, peace, joy, wholeness, and abundance. I bless and prosper everything I am doing. I expect and accept happiness, complete success, knowing I am one with all people. I affirm there is a silent power flowing through me which blesses and heals. I am so grateful for this truth and my relation with you and our God. So I say thank you, God, and together we say, and so it is.
let me quickly introduce the band. Where's our drummer? Oh, we don't need him right now. Oh, the camera's not on him, but it's Spencer Strand, everybody. Let's give him a hand. And on bass today is Mr. Don Morgan. Thank you, Don. On the guitar, Mr. Brian Wright. Standing behind me, helping us out on background vocals, Julie Grower. And, of course, our talented featured vocalist. Here's another call, so I got to share this with you, too. So, I get these messages from Susan during the week. Larry, I'm hearing something in my mind. I've got this song. I'm going to record it tonight and send it to you. It's just something that came to me. So I went to bed, got up the next morning, and noticed that at 1:37 last night, I get an email with this song. This is called "The Mind of God."
Take a moment, take a deep breath, take a look around, and know you're gonna be alright, 'cause everything you need is waiting to become reality. It's already done in the mind of God. You are whole, perfect, and complete in the mind of God. There is only love, there is only peace. And take a moment, take a look around, oh God, and know you're gonna find a way, 'cause all you ever dreamed is waiting to become reality. It's already done in the mind of God. You are whole, perfect, and complete in the mind of God. There is only love, there is only peace in the mind of God. In the mind of God, you are whole, perfect, and complete. In the mind of God, there is only love, there is only peace in the mind of God.
Thank you again, Sue. Fabulous. Well, it is my privilege today to introduce our speaker. He is no stranger to CSL. Aren't we all getting used to just having one of these hanging from our ear at all times? That it's just like, what? Oh, that. Our speaker is no stranger to CSLN. He was an active member of the center here for 18 years, serving on the board, and also for 7 years he was part of the ministerial staff. He's currently president of the International New Thought Alliance and the immediate past president of the Divine Science Federation International. Many of you may remember him from teaching the new member class here for 7 years. Our guest speaker today is our friend, Reverend Dr. Tim Stewart.
Thank you. It is always so great to be here and to be on this platform. And a few minutes ago, as I was sitting back there, I remembered that, and I noticed in my bio there's a lot of year numbers in there. But a little over 20 years ago, I walked in for the very first time to a service at the YWCA over on Woodmont. And I'll have to admit, I enjoyed it. Music was great. But I was really going because I was just dating this lady named Marcia, and I now am married to that woman. And one of the very greatest blessings that has ever been in my life. But 20 years ago, I had no idea the impact that this teaching would have. And how many times in this building, how much my life expanded and my consciousness expanded, and I learned new ways to look at things. So I am just grateful to be here and so grateful to see so many faces here that I do know. Grateful to have some people in the building. And I titled my talk today, The Perfect Universe, which actually comes from a portion of the Science of Mind textbook. But before I jump into something that big, just talking for a moment about holding on to our own good. And I'm reminded of a story that I heard. And actually, I read through it again the other day of a woman who was from Michigan, but she and her family decided to take a vacation up in a small little New England town. What she did not realize is that Paul Newman also vacationed there with his family. Now, for those that are listening and do not know who Paul Newman was, he was the heartthrob to so many young ladies of his day, and quite an actor, quite an accomplishment. But he also liked to vacation there. Anyway, she gets there with her family. It's Sunday morning, and she gets up before everyone else and decides that she's going on a hike. She has this 5-mile hike, and she's really feeling good. She's worked up a little perspiration, and she's so proud of her hike and her accomplishments that she decides she's going to go get an ice cream cone, double-dipped chocolate, because there's one place in town. It's a little bakery, ice cream place put together, and she gets in the car and down she goes. She walks in to order her ice cream cone, and there's only one other person in the entire place other than the man working. He's sitting at the counter. She walks up, he turns and looks, and she's looking right into those baby blue eyes. It's Paul Newman. And her heart flutters a little bit, and she almost loses it. And she kind of has to get hold of herself. And she thinks, well, I'm not a teenager. I'm 45 years old. I'm married. I have a husband and 3 sons back home. And she tries to steady herself still on what her good is. And this is her ice cream cone she's come after. And she orders her ice cream, and she pays the man, gets her change and everything. And as she turns to go, Paul Newman kind of turns and nods a little bit, and she nods and goes on to the car. And as she gets in the car, she realizes she has her change and her car keys, but no ice cream cone. And she thinks, well, I must have just walked off and left it inside. So she goes back inside, expecting the man behind the counter to still be holding it. And he looks and he says, no. And she looks around, and Paul Newman looks at her, and just with a slight smile, he says, you put it in your purse. So I could see where that happens. I mean, I walked into a door one time when I was younger because a young lady smiled at me, so I understand that. But the thing is, she lost the good of that ice cream cone because she got too carried away with other things. And don't we do the same thing sometimes? We have good before us, but we get caught up in conditions around us. That's right, we get caught up in those conditions around us. And when I start talking about a perfect universe, many people would look at me and say, "What do you mean talking about a perfect universe? Don't you know what all's happening?" And I would be remiss if I tried to talk about good and not realize that, well, as one writer put it, one early New Thought writer put it, that no teaching that taught us to not trust our senses would ever catch on. Now, what does that mean? If one thing we all have in our house, and we don't talk about it a whole lot, is we all have a trash can. And there's no one here and no one listening to me today that has not at some point over the years said, "I've got something in the trash can and it smells, it stinks, it has an odor to it." And all of the prayer in the world doesn't stop that. You have to take the trash out, is that right? And the same thing is true today. We're going to talk a lot about consciousness. We're going to talk about a perfect universe. But yeah, we do have things going on. We're in the middle of a pandemic. So do the things that you need to protect yourself. Act with the good common sense that infinite intelligence gives you, and live by those things, and have a vision for the future when it's no longer there. I'd also be remiss, it is November the 1st, and it is an election year. And there has never in my history been an election that people were more passionate and more emotionally involved in than this one. And I dare say that if I looked around and asked somebody in here, most of us have had somebody who, if you had a conversation and they disagreed with you, it's destroyed friendships. Those things have happened. But if we focus on those all the time, it doesn't have to be something as alluring as someone we idolize. It can be also those negative things. And if we focus on those, we're going to end up with our ice cream cone in the purse, okay? We got to stay focused on the good. If that makes sense to you, at least nod your head at me if you're here. I hope it makes sense to everyone else. So understand that with everything I say, I'm still saying, do what you need to for going through this that we're going through. But in your consciousness, look for a better future. Get out and vote, but understand that it's not the end of the world, that our consciousness is still going to carry us through. Right? Okay. So let me talk just a little bit about what is this perfect universe. Let's talk about the science of mind teaching about a universe. Ernest Holmes wrote and taught us that we're living in an intelligent universe, a spiritual universe, a universe where thoughts are things, and when those thoughts become our consciousness and they become part of our subjective way of thinking, that they work in a creative field with infinite possibilities, and they bring about a reality in our lives. That's one of the cornerstones, one of the very foundations of what we teach. We teach a practice called spiritual mind treatment. And what that really is all about is erasing those negative thoughts and getting us aligned upon a realization of divine presence. To have a consciousness of what is our real spiritual birthright. To neutralize the negative. And as we do that, understand sometimes we get this, how do I put it? Because I can't just speak and say others, I have to put myself in there as well. Sometimes we really want to stand up and speak what's on our mind, almost in a combative sense. But light doesn't overcome darkness by fighting it. It does it by its beingness. It's being what it is. And today, if we're going to live and experience happiness and peace, for those of you who saw our Facebook post It says, if you're talking about experiencing happiness and peace, if we're going to do that, it's not by being in a struggle, but it's about being who we truly are and recognizing that. Not concerning ourselves. And when I say not concerning, we're concerned, but we don't allow it to steal and rob our peace. Now, I won't go through a list of things, but people who know me, I have experienced enough things in life. I know what it means to live in peace when it seems like the unthinkable is happening around you. Understand that those things that seem to be upsetting you aren't real powers, and we don't pay attention to whether it's something happening within us or something happening around us. But instead of focusing on all those things that change, the virus is going to change. There will come a day when we will be on the other side of it. Right? That changes. But there is a changeless reality of spirit, a changeless truth. And understand that this changeless reality, this spirit that I speak of, which we can call God or whatever you like, is never bound. It is never restricted by the causes or the conditions around it. Nothing happens that takes away that infinite potential. Everything that's happening, Spirit is in it, through it, and around it. A few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months or so ago, I was here, and I said, there's not God and anything else. There's only God and God as everything else. It's like water that forms ice. The water and the ice are one substance. They're not two different substances. It's one thing. It doesn't change what it is. It simply changes its appearance, how we're experiencing it. And the same thing, we have to understand that. We are one in substance with this that we call God or Spirit. And when we get to that point that we have the audacity to, as we say in Science of Mind, to speak our word, to say our prayer, whatever you want to call that, with a knowingness that what we speak operates through this law. It becomes the law itself into what we're talking about. Know that one person, we talk about how many of you, and I'll just ask for those that are here because I can't, of course, see those there, but so many people like that verse from the Bible. It says where two or more are gathered. You know that, right? But understand, it only takes one, and the second one is the consciousness of the divine. When we, in this human form, when we are in alignment and we're congruent with divine consciousness, we make the majority. And when we know that and we realize that, it doesn't matter what goes on around us. It may not be to our liking, but we can live in peace. We can live in peace. So when we realize that, and if we can do all of this with love, first of all, allowing ourselves that it's always love and that sense of the unity with God, then we begin to be ready to experience something that aligns with what we call a perfect universe, to embody our greatest good, when we don't look at evidence to the contrary, but instead we look at everyone around us and we understand they have that same potentiality in them, the potential to express good. I say people don't change, they simply awaken to who they truly are. When we do this and we get into this practice in the very beginning, it sometimes is difficult because we fall back into those old habits. Several weeks ago, something happened and it bothered me, and I was talking to a friend of mine who's a unity minister out in Colorado, and she said, oh, well, you've got to quit paying attention to that. And sometimes that's what we do. Now, I'm not saying stick our head in the sand, You can't deny what is happening. If your car is stuck on the railroad track, and you see the train coming, you can say all the denials you want to about the reality of that train, But instead, you need to affirm that you have the ability to open the door and get out of the car. It's a totally different outcome. So, at first, sometimes we may find those things that make us look weak, but if we continue in it, those negative things seem to slip away because something within us changes. Something within us changes, and we begin to see that greater possibility for good. In the Science of Mind textbook, Dr. Holmes gave us a pathway to living at peace, and I'll read that. He said, to daily meditate on the perfect life and to daily embody the great ideal is a royal road to freedom, to that peace which passeth understanding, and is happiness to the soul. Well, I don't know about everyone else, but if I can live in peace, if I'm in peace and I'm in happiness, that's a pretty good place to be. And so many people right now, the things of life are keeping them from that peace. So what are those steps? He said, if we'll daily meditate on the perfect life, that one that is union, that one that realizes the divine presence, that has that spiritual birthright I mentioned. If we have that spiritual practice that brings us to that point in consciousness on a daily basis, and to daily embody the great ideal, to let it become something that's part of us, those two things will equal to others. He said, what are those? A peace that passes understanding. I have my own way of saying that. I say that there's a peace within each of us that is so profound that nothing can disturb it. Nothing can disturb it. It's there. It's within you. I don't care what you're upset about. Hopefully you aren't. But if you are, there is a peace within that is so profound, and it's about doing those things, meditating on the perfect life, embodying the great ideal. And when we do that, all melts away and we can reach that place and have happiness. He said it's happiness to the soul. Actually, he said happiness to the soul of man. I'm going to gender neutralize his by just dropping off those last two words, and it's happiness to the soul. But if I can be happy at a soul level, that's good. We learn to see as God sees. We learn to see as God sees. Whatever they are, even when conditions around us aren't in our conception of good, all right, we don't believe in the imperfection for a second. We don't believe that there's some other power that we're fighting against. Understand that if there's a power that you're fighting against, you have created it. I'll say that again. If there is a power you are fighting against, you have created it. Doesn't mean that it's not there. Doesn't mean that it agrees with you, but it means that instead of fighting against it, you can be at peace, and you begin to change that by changing something within. One of the other statements from that same portion of the Science of Mind textbook is a affirmation. And he said, let us say daily to ourselves this: God within me, perfect life within me, which is God, come forth into expression through me as that which I am. Lead me ever into the paths of perfection and cause me to see only the good. Wow. If we do that and we get so aligned, then something happens within us, and we have this enlightenment that allows us to see things from a different point of view. We allow ourselves to become well acquainted with this presence. We're allowed to live in peace. To do that, he says, turn entirely from the condition. The Bible verse, it says, behold my face forevermore. Well, what's it saying? It says, always remember the divine in everything we're doing. It means to look up and not down. But turning entirely away from the condition doesn't mean that you deny the train that's on the tracks. It means instead that you understand it's not stopping you from your good. It's not stopping you from your good. The other thing is, not only are we turning away from what we don't want, or turning away from the condition, we focus our attention only on that we do want. Only on that we do want. Now, when I first learned in the science of mind prayer treatment, there was a 5-step and there's a 7-step. And those of you who don't know that, don't worry about it, because basically I'll tell you what the differences were. Okay? And the 5-step, you were recognizing God as being all that there is. The 2nd step, you were recognizing your oneness with that presence is exactly what you are. And then you were affirming that very reason, whatever you're treating for. You're affirming the truth of what you're treating for. All right? And then you're releasing it. You're not trying to force it. You're turning it over to that law that is spiritual law, and you're giving thanks. The 7th step adds something in there. It's called a denial and a reaffirmation. And sometimes that's helpful. But in the beginning of things, I just couldn't bring myself to start doing denial because I didn't want to talk about the other. And then I understood what a true denial was. The denial is not, and let's say, I'll just mention this pandemic, okay? The denial is not saying that it's not here and it's not happening. The denial is saying it cannot take away my joy, it can't take away my happiness, it cannot take away my interactions with other people. It can't limit me. And people have found ways around that. Again, the last time I was here, I shared of a story of a friend of mine whose church has literally just exploded with this. And when I say exploded, I mean he's gone from 400 to 600 that would be in service on Sunday morning to now over 30,000 people watching him online every week. Yeah. See, when you understand, it may be that is the fact that's happening right now, but there's a changeless reality that says nothing can hold me back from my good, and I'm going to live. That is my choice, to live in that. When you look only at what you want, and we use that expression, it's some science of mind jargon, as we like to say sometimes, about speaking our word. But when I was in another faith tradition years ago, Pentecostals, we talked about speaking our word. But that word, that thought, that idea that you speak, I'll go back to my railroad analogy. Forget about the car on it. Different way of looking at it. That can be the train. And law is the railway that it's on. But it is the consciousness behind it that is the fuel that makes it move. You can do all of the beautiful words you want, but if the consciousness isn't behind it, it simply sits there on the railway. It doesn't move along that pathway of law into becoming into fruition. And having that consciousness behind it, that means you embody that idea. Let it become part of who you are. Recognizing the truth of your relationship with the divine and understanding what that really means. Oh gosh, we'll have to go upstairs and have the classroom full if we're going to talk about that. But know that it always starts with that recognition of God. First, I said turn away from the condition. Second was to look only at what you want. And the third one is to never limit your view of life. Don't look at past experiences regardless of what they were. Regardless of what your experiences were. And I will talk about those that, again, and make it very clear here that I don't, from the pulpit, I never discuss things from one side or the other. But people look and they wonder, it's just going to happen this way because it happened this way in years gone by. Right now, people wonder, and I hear people that are all upset because they look at elections and polls and 4 years ago and this, that, and the other. Doesn't matter. We're not limiting anything or judging anything by past experience. If you judge things by past experience, you'll never try anything new. If the Wright brothers had judged everything by past experience, we wouldn't be having aircraft today. All right? You can't judge things by those past experiences. If every child learning to walk judged their ability to get up and walk because they fell the first time, we would all be crawling out of here today. So we never go by that. But we understand something different. So we're not limited by our past experiences. We don't limit our view of life, and we place no limit on principle. And anytime I'm up here many times, or most of the time, I always try to stay away from doing it, but I will mention Dr. Mitch Johnson, who was the founder of this center, and I count him as one of my dearest friends on earth. But I remember him talking one time about if something was possible, and someone asked him something in a classroom, and he said, if you ask if it's possible, he said, yes, I believe it's possible. He said, but I recognize I don't have the consciousness to do it, and I couldn't develop the consciousness in the period of time you're talking about, because it was about accomplishing something by the next morning. So we may have to look and understand if we can believe something. I'm reminded of the story of Mary Mann in Morrissey when she went in for surgery and was to have, actually both of her kidneys were supposed to be removed. She was going to be on dialysis until they could find a proper donor. And the chaplain of that hospital came by to her that night, and this is before she became the great teacher she became later. And this chaplain asked her, said, do you believe that before they go to surgery tomorrow, when they do those final tests, they can find that both your kidneys, or if they have to open you up, they'll find both your kidneys are fine and they not have to take either one? Can you believe that? And she said, no, I really can't accept that. I can't believe that. And so they said, well, can you believe that all of it could just be in one kidney? And instead of taking both, they only have to take one. And she said, I can believe that. She said, that I can believe. And that was her prayer, and that's exactly how it turned out. She understood the limitations she had of what her consciousness was. We have to always expand our consciousness and understand that the limitation that might be there is not on principle, but only limited by our own consciousness, and that's always expanding. Look towards something greater. I'm not saying give up. I'm not saying settle for second best, but understand that the limit is not on principle. And the words that you speak could be as powerful as the words that Jesus spoke if you knew that your word was that powerful, if you had that knowingness inside. Your words can be that powerful as you know them to be. But it means knowing it and not merely accepting it with the intellect. Not merely saying, I know that this is the way it is intellectually, but it becomes something at a soul level, something that is within, and yes, it does have this feeling within it. This thing that suddenly rises up with all the confidence, and you know it. As we used to say, you know that you know that you know. You know it without a shadow of a doubt. That whenever you do that treatment, you say that prayer, whatever verbiage you choose to use, whenever you say it, when you know that there's something happening in that quantum field of infinite potential that we talk about, that there's movement in the infinite mind of God, and realize that God is the actor and all you're doing is you're announcing what the truth already is. And understand that there's no compromise. There's nothing but spirit. And if you get this to the point that you're able to look a fact in the face and know that that fact is nothing but an effect, and that it's changed when consciousness changes. Look a fact in the face, but understand that I talked about is changeless reality, changeless truth. You know that, so you look at the fact and you understand it's there, but know that it is simply an effect and it's not the ultimate truth. To look at things now and know that it's not stopping you and it's not holding you back. And if we come to that point where we're not disturbed by things. Honestly, I mean, if we look around and if we're honest, I think most of us at some point, especially in the past several months or a few years, have had something that we found that it disturbed us. But if we get to that point that we're not disturbed by things, then we've discovered that secret. We can, as the master teacher said, judging not according to appearance, but judging righteous judgment. Remembering that the things that we don't see really are made of things that don't appear. In other words, they're made of the consciousness that we cannot see. If we do that, as Dr. Holmes said, we can, out of any chaos, we can produce harmony. I'm going to say that again. Out of any chaos, we can produce harmony. Out of whatever is happening right now, we can produce harmony. I don't know about you, but I like that. That excites me to know that we can have harmony and we can have peace regardless of where we are right now. That we can do that in perfect peace and in perfect love. And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Wonderful as always. Oh. Now's that time when we have the marvelous opportunity to give back to that which serves us, that which strengthens and guides us. So if you will hold your offering to this place and this work in your hand or in mine, and repeat with me this: divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love, and I receive in abundance, and so it is. And now I'm going to invite to the platform the chair of our Board of Trustees, Miss Kate Prentice.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I have a few announcements to share with you, some exciting things that are happening at our center. There are several involvement opportunities that have come up, and I want to share those with you. Anyone interested in joining the music team in creating a future music event, such as an ongoing coffee house? I'm so happy to say that term. Planning will focus on safe ways to do so, and if you're interested, please contact Larry Faragalli, and his information is on the website. Other ways to share your talents. We have needs of people with specialized skills on the video team, the social media team, working on the website and the newsletter. If you have skills in those areas, you can contact Lucia Coopersmith or Reverend Lynn. The Wednesday evening service is an interactive meeting that focuses on different subjects every week, and this week will be turning anger into compassion, and that begins at 6:30, and you can find the link to that on the website as well or in the newsletter. Classes, right now we have the mental equivalence class going, and it's a series, but you can join in for one class if you choose, and so check out the website for that. We've talked a lot about what COVID has done to us, but what we're able to do, and I'm so happy that we are, is to safely open. And we're doing it with a smaller number of individuals. We're doing it social distancing, checking your temp when you come in the door, and all those good things. So if you care to join us, please do. We will continue to use the common sense of social distancing and safe reopening. Another event that you might be interested in is the Women's Circle, and I want to let you know that it has moved from Wednesday nights to Tuesday nights, and it's from 7 to 8:30. So if you're interested in that, They have a lot of really great support activities that they do online at that time, and you can also, it is via Zoom, and you can find that on the website as well. A couple of things. Are you interested in a really nice meal? We're going to attempt, if weather permits, next Sunday, November 8th from 2 to 4 at the Riverview Restaurant and Marina, which is located on the Cumberland River, as it were. They have outdoor dining and enough room to socially distance. So if you're interested in that, please check the website for that as well. Our outreach team has regenerated since the tornadoes that devastated parts of Nashville, but there's still a lot more to be done. And so they are wanting to have a group to go in and plant trees. Trees are so important for our city, for the life of our city. And so if you're interested in doing that, it's a family-friendly event, and it's going to be it's at Fisk Park in North Nashville, and it'll be on November 14th from 9 a.m. until noon. Also, they're looking at the idea of going to the Chihuly Christmas lights at Cheekwood on December 5th. And that sounds like a fun thing to do outside as well. You can find any of these events on the website, so please check it out. There's a calendar tab that you can find all those. We're excited to have Sean O'Shea come next Sunday and be our featured speaker, and we're really happy about that. The last thing I want to say is about the board elections last week. I appreciate everyone who voted. We had 54% of our membership vote, and if you're looking at the news, you know that ain't bad for any group of people who are wanting to vote, and voting is on Tuesday for the big election. I want to encourage you to do that. The individuals who were elected last week are Lucia Coopersmith for a 3-year term, David Arnholder for a 3-year term. I'm Kate Prentice, and I was elected for a 2-year term, and then Heidi Dixon for a 1-year term. Yesterday, the board had an organizational meeting, and we elected the following officers. I'll say this, we decided to add an officer, and that was the vice chair. If we can come up with a better name for that, the chair of vice, I don't know, we'll work on that. But anyway, Heidi Dixner was elected to that position, and Karen Sorensen will again be the treasurer. Susan Prim will again be the secretary, and I am honored to continue to serve as the chairperson of our team. So thank you all. Thank you.
And a great job she has done and will continue to do, no doubt. All right. That brings us to the end of our service, and I'm going to say a closing treatment. I'm loving these faces. And I'm knowing that all present, both here, online, and all who draw breath, are really one face, one mind, one heart, one life, one. And I know today that all that appears to be division and separation, and us and them, it's simply an innocent misunderstanding. And we let that go. We let it go. It does not serve us. And so we let it go. And we return to this idea in the one mind, this idea in the one heart that says we're all connected. We are all love. That's all we are. And so we expand that idea, that feeling, that energy. We expand it. We have that opportunity to expand it and to extend it and to make it stronger so that it is all we know. And that feels good. And that feels right. And that says yes. All is well. All is well. All is well. I am thankful and grateful for this truth. I appreciate this place that speaks these words and allows me to hear these words, to know these words. I release this treatment to the law of cause and effect. What I have put into cause will have its effect. That's the truth. I release it. I let it be so. And so it is. Sue Shan.
When you're down and confused and you don't remember who you're talking to, concentration will slip away because your baby is so far away. And there's a rock in a fisted glove where the eagle flies with the dove. And if you can't be with the one you love, honey, love the one you're with. 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 Turn your heartache right into joy. You're a girl and he's a boy. Get it together, make it nice. You ain't gonna need any more advice. And there's a rose in a fisted glove where the eagle flies with the dove. And if you can't be with the one you love, honey, love the one you're with. 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 Don't be angry. Don't be sad. Don't sit crying over good times you had. There's a boy right next to you, and he's just waiting for something to do. And there's a rose in a fisted glove where the eagle flies with the dove. And if you can't be with the one you love, honey, love the one you're with. Love the one you're with. Love the one you're with. Love the one you're with.
Susan Shan.
All right.
And the
Happy
band.
Sunday, everybody. Have a great day.
This program is a service of the Center for Spiritual Living Nashville. May your life be filled with joy and prosperity in every way. Learn more about our programs or contact one of our practitioners at our website, cslnashville.org. You may also want to follow us on Facebook at CSLNASH. You can make a big difference with your financial gift at lovecsln.com. Please share the link to this program with a friend and join us again next Sunday. Have a wonderful week.